Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics pre-lockout chat ahead of round 7. I'm your host, AFL Fantasy Fanatic, Bails, and you can find me at Bails DT on Twitter. Bit of a lot of sort of carnage and stuff is hitting us, especially in the forward line. So we actually got probably a fair bit to chat about before we get ready for tonight's game. But joining me, as always, is my co-host and fellow AFL Fantasy Fanatic, is Tim Guesty, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Spent a bit of time using the edit trade function over the last 24 hours. Gotten used to trying to get used to how that works. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I'm not entirely sure why.
I know. It's a little bit of carnage, as I said, in the forward line's been hitting us. And I've been seeing all over the socials, people, the edit trade button is getting a lot of love and a lot of use today. So talk to me about obviously your trades and sort of the laid out, the sort of either laid outs or managements or substitutions or anything. What's going on over at Guesty's Gerbils?
Mate, I'm just trying to continue my philosophy of keep calm and play a straight bat. Jackson for me, I think, is still someone that's got to go. Garcia is the one to bring in, the rookie to bring in for my mind. Although I have, toyed with the idea of a Jordan Sweet. I've already brought in a Nick Dacos. So pretty much what I've figured out, what I can do is, my initial trade was a Zach Williams, but I can edit that for a Zach Fisher. Although, look, I'm really kind of up in the air about what to do because the reality is even if I keep Zach Williams, he won't be on field for me. He'll be on the bench. So, I'll hold off until the North game in the morning and, if Fisher's named sub, I'll kind of make that decision then. I'll probably switch it and trade out Fisher instead of Williams, but I'll just hold fast until then.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Williams will be, he's on the bench for me as well. I think that there is a way that I can get him on field, but I think I've got Closey on field, and it would be pretty much between Will Graham and Williams. But I think Will Graham against West Coast is far better, and he's probably less of a sub-out risk than what a Zach Williams is. So I don't want to get caught with something like that. We've got a few people in the chat already saying about not confirmed that Fish will be sub. It's not officially confirmed by North Melbourne, but Mitch Cleary, who's one of the more trusted and reliable sources out there, has said that Fisher is set to be the sub tomorrow for North Melbourne. So I'm going to trust Mitch Cleary on that. So, we've got to be pivoting, I think. So, and he's on Fisher's named on the bench as well.
I don't know if I would probably agree with what I wouldn't be pivoting yet. I'd be waiting for the news if you can, or can't you wait? You're going to have to go early. Is that what you're saying?
Some people might have to because obviously if they've got to downgrade to Garcia and then get someone else on the other end. But I think, if people didn't see the teams for Sunday, Massimo has been managed as well. So that's probably a guy you got to trade. But then again, you might not have to because if he's named out managed, he's in emergencies. He's probably not going to play. So unless he's a late in. So that's, I guess, he's not going to drop cash. So maybe getting rid of a Fisher over a D'Ambrosio is probably. Would you be actually? Well, that's a question for you, Tim. If you already locked in a trade, say you traded, I don't know, a rookie that's already locked out for another rookie, and you're trading out either one of Fisher or D'Ambrosio. Are you trading out Fisher, who's going to be the sub and probably drop cash? Or are you trading out Massimo, who's not playing?
Well, let's step back a bit first, right? So I'm in a position where I don't have to make my decision until I know whether Fisher is a sub or not. But what about coaches that aren't in that position? They do have to make their decision tonight. I know you said you would have to trust the journo and pivot. I don't know that I would do that. I'd probably for me, Zach Williams was the guy that was going to go anyway. Regardless of whether he was playing this week or not. So for me, I would have stuck with my original trade of trading out Zach Williams and holding on to a Zach Fisher. Maybe putting him on the bench or something along those lines. But yeah, I don't know that I would have pivoted him off. Are you saying that you would?
Oh no, I was saying who would you trade out of Massimo and
but I was trying to get this first point.
Yeah, I think Williams is probably still a hold now. I think that with Massimo out, with Fisher being the likely sub, I think that Williams can just sit on your bench for the week. And I guess if he does get subbed out in a 30 or 40, you might lose like 10, 20, 30K. But if Fisher's a sub and comes on for last quarter and scores a 10, he's going to drop like 40K or something because his break even's up in the 80s, I think, or maybe 90s. So I would be, if Fisher is a sub, I think he's got to go, and I think Williams can stay. Are you agreeing with that?
Well, I think it depends on when you got to make your call. Like, I think if you know, this is kind of what I'm saying. If you know he's the sub, yeah, sure. But if you don't, I'm not sure that I'd be pulling that trigger.
I think you could, just because Fisher hasn't even been like, okay, he's been.
Look, you definitely could.
Yeah.
You definitely could. I'm not arguing that you couldn't, right? I mean, I have no problem with getting off players early. You know, I was kind of looking at getting off him next week anyway. He was a player that was in consideration for me this week. But I'm just, you know, if we're making that decision between Williams and Fisher, and, you know, you've got to make the call tonight, and we don't know that he's the sub, like, you know, there's sources out there, there's, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think I would, in that case, I think I would hold Fisher and hope that he's not the sub.
Yeah, I think I'll probably still trade that Fisher. You get a little bit of extra cash as well. That might be the difference when you get the player you want. Maybe you were settling for I still think McRae's a good option. But if instead of getting McRae, you could get up to a Rosie for example tonight, or you could get to.
That's once again though. That's yeah. Like, I agree, right? If it's going to make a difference in who you get, once again, I agree. But if it's a pure 50-50 call,
I'm still trading at Fisher. I think personally.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think yeah. I think it's good. We differ in this one, I think. But anyway, let's get back to Massimo. Right? So, what was your question about Mass now? So,
would you trade Fisher over Massimo now? Because Massimo won't actually drop any cash this week, whereas if Fisher is the sub, and again, if you trade between these two, you probably can wait till tomorrow.
And this is why I asked that question, right? Are you making the call tonight or tomorrow morning? If he's the sub, the answer is easily, you know, Fisher, and you hold Mass, right? But I'm still kind of in that boat. If we're not sure, I'd kind of hold 5.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And the other thing I could do as well is I could hold Massimo now and trade Williams. That could be that's probably the other one as well. Is that is Massimo's not dropping, whereas if Williams does play, he gets subbed out early, drops cash, whereas Massimo's not going to drop. He's going to go.
Does it make the difference to the player you can get to? Because I know you were a bit cash strapped this week.
Well, it doesn't really matter too much anyway, because the player I was going to be getting was going to be Dacos, who I was 30k short. So if I'd known that, I would have grabbed Dacos this week, and I would have traded Massimo and Fisher. But unfortunately, didn't know that Fisher was going to be subbed yesterday. Yeah, exactly. And I could have put the E on Harvey Thomas, which I know a lot of people didn't, because they were looking to have 2 cracks with Reed and go Wilson and Garcia, which now with Thomas going 77, it would have been. I was half tempted to go him and Cadman emergency last night and just to see, but that's okay. That's all right. I guess probably the other decision for coaches this week is a lot of people are going to be in this boat. Who are you playing out of Garcia and Darcy Wilson on field? Because maybe some people might have to play one on field. I think I don't
even think it wasn't even much of a decision for me. I mean, Darcy Wilson kind of plays that more. Well, you know, he does get a bit of time in the midfield, but plays a bit more high half forward kind of thing.
Yeah, more half forward wing, yeah.
Especially up against Port. Whereas I think Garcia being
CBAs.
It's CBAs, tackles, that kind of game suits him a bit better. I would kind of, in terms of rookie roulette, who really knows, right? But I'm putting Garcia on field.
Yeah, good point. Pound Pro Stars put in a super chat, so thanks, mate. We'll answer your question here. So g'day, legends. Next week, lads, Merritt or Green? Who are you looking at targeting next week, Tim? I think Green looked great yesterday. I think he looked back to what he was doing early, and he's cheaper, so I'm probably Green there.
Yeah,
targeting 1 or 2, but I guess buys as well is probably another thing you got to think about.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that we got to start taking into consideration this time of year is the buys.
Yeah, so Green round 12 buy, Merritt round 14. I guess Power Prawn Star probably make your decision is look at your buys. If you're fine for round 12, I like Green better. But if you're a bit got a few, if you've already got a Goulden or you've got your Heenies and I guess Fisher's going for a lot of people this week, but like Shees or Whitfield, then maybe you could go Merritt. But then again, I'd almost want to go down and maybe go for a Rosie or a Sarong or something like that instead. So. But yeah, so we'll turn our attention to captains because we'll answer a heap of questions because people are probably stressing like I am. So, Tim, mate, obviously, unfortunately, I'm sorry I've got to bring it up, mate, but not having gone meant that you had to go a different direction with the VC. So, if listening out there, who'd you go VC? Who'd you go VC for round?
Well, Nick Dacos, mate, put it on Dacos. But yeah, it didn't quite play out. But look, I'm not, 98 is not that disappointing. Once again, kind of like bring him into my side. I'm pretty happy being able to do that. So yeah, I'm now kind of thinking about my captain options. I've probably got a couple of people in mind, like a Heaney or a Flanders. I'm probably feeling safest with a Heaney. I do like the idea of a Butters. And I'm, I always trust Jaden's rankings, and he's got Sammy Walsh pretty high. So I've also been thinking about him a bit as well.
Yeah, cool. Well, just for reference, obviously we got Calvin, Mitch, and Jaden. They're normally the three people I go to for captain. So I go through Mitch's because I got his here. So Mitch's big boys for round 7. He's got Gorn at 1, Marshall at 2, Dacos 3, Heaney at 4, Merritt 5, Sam Walsh 6, Jordan Dawson 7, Harry Sheasel at 8, Caleb Sarong 9, and Errol Goulden at 10. And then I'll just grab Jaden's top captains because I know he put them up. I believe it would have been last night is when he put it up. So Jaden's top captain options or round 7 projections. So he has got Ryan Marshall, then Caleb Sarong, Sam Walsh, Noah Anderson, Jordan Dawson, Andrew Brayshaw, Adam Treloar, Marcus Bonampelli, Tom Green, and Josh Dunkley. So after obviously hearing some of those names, Tim, is obviously, I think the highest one out of all those names is probably a Heaney. Is that maybe currently where you're leaning to?
Yeah,
or maybe
Heaney's probably a little bit more. I am a little bit concerned about what might be. I mean, especially now with is it Hardiman coming into the side as a halfback with Fisher as a sub? I don't know. I'm actually a little unsure what all that means really. So a bit uncertain about Shees this week. Heaney
Flanders?
seems like this. Yeah, Flanders was up there. Yeah, so Heaney was the kind of probably the safest option. I feel, but I don't mind the look of Sam Walsh either.
Yes, Sam Walsh are good options. The MCG. I think he could actually get free for a few marks in this game, so that could raise his ceiling a little bit this week. So looking forward to seeing how he goes.
What about yourself, mate?
Well, I like Gorn away.
Yeah, okay.
Which is obviously it is good to lock that VC away early in the round.
The majority of the competition. That. Jesus Christ, that hurts.
Yeah. Sorry, Tim. But yeah, as Mitch said in our group chat that we're in, he said only 6 weeks to go till his bye, mate. So or something like that. So not too much longer to go until you can either bring Gorn in or sort of rest from him for a week. But yeah, so everyone, send
I just had a rest from him for a week.
Oh dear. But yeah, if you are tuning in live on Twitter or YouTube, send through your questions. We'll answer as many as we can. Obviously, we'll be have to finish this up at it'll be 5 p.m. or just before 5 p.m. Perth time. Because Tim, are you making your way down to the Campfield tonight?
Not tonight, mate. I haven't been that well this week, so okay. I'm taking a Friday night off. I'm going to try to eat some healthy food and fruit and stuff like that today. I'm trying to recover my body a little bit. So I'll have a night off tonight.
Fair enough. But if you are in the Perth area, make sure you head down to Campfield with Cara and the crew down there are always doing good things. And if I was in Perth, I'll be going down tonight. But I'm in Adelaide, so I'll be back in Perth, no doubt, before the end of the season. But let's get through some of these questions here. So Brody Dicko's got the first question. Hey, Bails, hope you've enjoyed the round so far. Who would you field out of Garcia or Wilson at F6 tonight? So, yeah, this is the exact decision I've got to make as well, mate. I think we were saying before, Tim, so you're Garcia, just with, I guess, the bonuses, the CBAs and probably tackle numbers.
Yeah, I just think the matchup suits him better.
Yeah, I agree. The wings could be a bit of a dirty score for Darcy Wilson tonight, whereas I think Garcia, hopefully, I'll be happy with a 50. If he gets 50, I'll tick it off, and that's fine, just with the amount of carnage and stuff that we've managed with this week. Will O'Mahony's got this question. Hey, guys, with Fisher to be subbed and Reid managed, should I field Garcia, Wilson, or Comben at F6? So, Garcia or Comben for you, Tim?
Jeez, what's Comben been doing? I mean, he was kind of a relevant player going back a little bit, but I haven't even been paying attention.
So, Comben, well, he got swing forward last week.
35 last week.
Yeah, he got swing forward. So, he got 107.69. Crows have generally been pretty difficult for defenders to score against, and it is down at Blundstone Arena, so that's a bit bit risky. I'm still Garcia, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm a Garcia out of all those three.
Yeah. Liam Rosenberg, how do people know who's getting subbed? So either it's an hour before the game, or if a reliable source like a Mitch Cleary or a Ryan Daniels or a Drew Jones or someone like that posts something, then you can. It's not concrete 100%, but you sort of take it like pretty well, and you know it's probably going to happen. So, but yeah, normally it's officially confirmed across all the socials an hour before each of the games start. What do we got? The next one as. Andrew Griffiths he said, got Stuart Fisher and 144K. Don't know what to do. Is Garcia a must? So, is Garcia a must bring in, Tim, this week as a rookie downgrade option?
There are some concerns about his position in the side, and there are some concerns about being the sub. I think he's certainly the best rookie option to be getting, and normally what we are doing is doing that kind of rookie downgrade, kind of upgrade at this time of the season. So, I mean, certainly for someone who's doing that, a Garcia is a good option. But I mean, there is a world that you could potentially miss him. I mean, I actually think there's also a world depending where you could go a Jordan Sweet as well, depending on.
Yeah. So talk about Sweet then. Obviously, with the news of Soldo being out for, I think it's 4 to 5 weeks with a bit of a knee issue. What are your thoughts on going down to a Jordan Sweet?
Yeah, look, I mean, I haven't done a deep dive in terms of his analysis, but he's going to be the number one ruck, right? So that's normally a pretty decent scoring role. I mean, if not maybe like a 75, 80 or something along those lines, and maybe you can even go a little bit better than that. I mean, I know Jordan's been kind of waiting to get his he's previously at Western Bulldogs, right? So he's always kind of played that second fiddle, never really got much time.
He only played 59% game time last week and scored a 60 and had 6 tackles, 21 hitouts. So, if he gets a full game,
yeah. So it is a lot of money to have on the pine. So it depends what you're doing. But once again, some people are looking at a McRae. Some people are looking at, they were looking at a Caldwell. Actually, one person I did want to ask you about is Dylan Moore.
Yep.
Any thoughts about? He's kind of in that price range. Any thoughts about him?
I think my thoughts on him are just stay away from Hawthorn for the time being. I just think that there's two we did see some notes today that
with Massimo out,
Moore was training with the midfield. So Dylan Moore he's at what 682, break even 84. If he was to play a mostly midfield role this week and score pretty well, then there is a world where you could look at him. But
next week,
he does have Sydney this week, which is a bit of a tough matchup. Then he's got the Bulldogs, which is if he's playing midfield, that's also a tougher matchup. Then he's got St Kilda, then Port and Brisbane, and then the Crows and Giants. It's not exactly an easy run, but hey, if he's under 700K playing midfield and looking like a guy that could go 85 plus, then I think he could be a bit of an option, especially
and also just pivoting back to Jordan Sweet, priced at what was he, 398 or something along those lines? That would make him priced at what, like 45 or something?
Yeah, like 40 to 45, somewhere in that ballpark, I think.
I mean, that's a lot of cash to make, especially if you're one of these coaches that have had the kind of that 3 ruck set up. But I was considering it.
Yeah, he's probably the best. He's even with Gus, he's great, but he's probably going to be the better cash generator, Jordan Sweet, of the next month, just because he's going to he's got with those hitouts, he's got access to more points. And so Sweet. I'm just getting up on Marez Magic here, priced at 45. Is Jordan Sweet?
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be out of it. It won't be an option for me because I'm going to have to play Garcia on field this week. So unless I held a Jackson, which I just don't really want to do, I think he's going to drop too much cash.
So just before we move on to the next question, for those people that have got a Garcia and they're looking at going like a Hardiman or someone else like that, would you, if they've got the spare cash, would you go up to a Jordan Sweet instead?
If you're bringing in a bench player, then yes.
Yeah, I agree as well. Yeah, I'd be ranking it. Yeah, Garcia, then Sweet, and then sort of whoever. Like, there's not really many other options there. Maybe it is a Hardiman is there, but we got to see him play first before looking.
Yeah, you want him. Yeah.
Yeah. Next one is from Liam Rosenberg. Who would you VC out of Jordan Dawson and Zach Butters? I'm Dawson there.
Okay. Yeah. Was it VC or C?
VC.
Oh, yeah, VC or Dawson.
And the other reason I'm going Dawson is I don't know, Tim, if you saw this, but Josh Money of Channel 9 News of Adelaide interviewed Jordan Dawson exclusive on Channel 7 tonight. He asked, is his role against Essendon, so like full-time midfield, going to be here to stay? And Dawson said, I think so. It seemed to work pretty well. I believe I'll probably stay in the midfield a bit more. I just focused on what I can do with or without the ball, and hopefully I can maintain that standard. So if his role against Essendon is here to stay, he is going to be a target for us to look forward. And yeah, if you're looking between him and Butters VC, I'd be going Butters. Does that maybe pique your interest a little bit in a Dawson, maybe next week or next couple of weeks if you're looking for a midfield upgrade?
Oh, yeah. Look, I mean, there's a few of those kind of fallen primos a little bit, right? Your Gouldens, your Connor Rosies. I mean, once again, I kind of haven't focused too closely on which one you should pick out of each one of them. That, you know, or runs or anything along those lines. But yeah, definitely, there's a bunch of them that are going to be on our radars over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. You got a Sarong, you got Rosie, obviously those two, and Butters. Those three have all got the round 13 bye, which is good. You got if a Clayton Oliver turns his form around, obviously he started really well on Wednesday night, and then obviously faded in the second half, but. Petrarca, you got like Nocky Neal's getting really cheap. Darcy Parish, there's so many.
Yeah, I'm not Petrarca and Lockie Neal. I'm not really, but you know, you got your Gouldens and your
Goulden, Bont,
Rosies, Bonts, Dawsons.
Tom Green has now dropped in price a bit as well.
Yeah.
So there's heaps.
They're the players.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
JLM said, "Hey legends, can you please rank Walsh, Bont, Dawson, and Goulden?" Okay, so we'll do this. Do two. So who are you going, Walsh or Bont?
Well, prices. What are the prices? Jesus, what is Goulden
Walsh is about
930,
911. They're all within 40k of each other. I'm pretty sure.
So they're all
okay.
So hang on, walk me through it again. Walsh. Well, I would go Bont over Walsh.
Yep. Dawson. Where would you put him in that mix? I'd probably go here.
God, I hate these ones, man. They're so close. I'd probably go Bont, Dawson, Walsh, and then who else is going?
Where does Goulden fit in that?
In between Walsh and Dawson.
Yeah. So yeah, Bont, Dawson, Goulden, Walsh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I agree with that as well. But again, we said that before, that by structure, Walsh has got round 14, Bont 15, Dawson 15, and Goulden 12. So whichever works better for your buys is probably the way you probably got to go there. There we go. Sean, who are we fielding out of Graham and Zach Williams? So Graham against West Coast, Zach Williams. So you're fielding Williams over Will Graham?
Yeah. Well, Will Graham. What has he scored? 63 or 104 on a 50.
He got a 50 against Sydney as well. So that's people probably got to look at that as well. And his tackle numbers are there. West Coast without Reed.
No, I think I'd be back in my prem. Well, not my primo, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, the guy that's you paid more for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I've got Graham on for at the moment over Williams, but that could change. I'm sort of looking at between the two. I guess it's a tough one. It really is. It'd be good if you get a look at Williams first, but I think a lot of us can't because we had a Zach Reed or something like that, or you don't have a red dot in your back line.
Shame he didn't loop a house.
Yeah, exactly. I should have tried Jai Clark over House a couple of weeks ago. That would have been very beneficial. What do we got here? So next question. Says has got this question here. Who to bring in, Rosie and 50k or Took and 120k? I'm Rosie there. Yeah. Does the Rosie one?
And I think he's going to be a better scoring player.
Does the 141 break even? Does that come into calculation for you at all, or do you think just because Rosie's a better player, he's going to drop cash, but he's going to probably make that money back anyway? So.
No, yeah. I'm looking at who's the best player I can bring in. I'm not that bothered about if they're going to drop another 10, 20,000 in cash.
Agreed. Yeah, and I guess if it was over 100k difference, you could do it, but it's 70k difference. So I think normally you'll be okay. So I would agree. I'd be going Rosie.
I mean, 70k is what? It's like about 8 points or something like that, right? So I think Rosie is more than 8 points better than Took.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't really seen much from Took this year, have we? He might be a ton player. I mean, he's only averaging 95 or something like that, isn't he? So,
I think he's 100 to 105.
I think Rosie's potentially a top 8,
Exactly. Yeah. And he's had one bad game. He was going at essentially 110 before that 70. So St Kilda this week, I think he'll bounce back pretty strongly tonight. So, yeah, I would agree. I'd be going Rosie there. A lot of people asking Garcia or Wilson on field. We were saying Garcia before. Yeah. Nick said field.
Oh, by the way, I should maybe because I don't trust this, but Jeppa was asked this question on X today, and he said Garcia as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree as well. But you don't listen to me, you listen to Jep, because Jep's the rookie man, so you definitely trust his opinion over my opinion. So,
well, maybe I should be listening to you more. You're ranking a bit higher on the Content Creators Cup at the moment.
Oh, if we get a win over Nathan this week, it looks like I'll be top 2 in the Content Creators Cup.
Got a bit of explaining to do, hasn't he?
Who's that?
Nathan.
With
his captain choices.
Oh, yeah. Well, at the moment, it says, he went Nick Martin captain and didn't take the Gawn VC. So I don't know if that's just the app making a mistake and he actually did take Gawn's VC, because we know the app can sometimes be a bit funny. But it'd be interesting if that was the case. And maybe accidentally put it on Nick Martin, but who knows? He only cost him, 22 points or something? 22 points something, or something like that anyway, or 21 points. But that's okay. Hopefully that's the difference between a win and a loss for me. But yeah, so we'll actually quickly run through the matchups in the Content Creators Cup this week. So Warney's up against Rids. Stato's up against Holmesy in a pod battle there. Harmy is up against Jake. Jeppa is up against Sanch. Luke is up against you, mate. So how you feeling about that matchup?
Oh, yeah, with the Gawn VC he's got, that makes things a bit tough from here, but we'll see how we go.
Oh, hopefully, who are you going captain? Oh, hopefully a Heaney or a Flans, whoever you go captain goes big, and it can make that a bit closer, mate, because you've had a good few weeks, getting a few wins, and right just outside it's actually very, very close this year. Like every
mate, super close.
Like you've got Mini Monk is undefeated 6-0. Mitch is 5-1. I'm 5-1, but obviously Mitch and Mini Monk, who will say soon, they're up against each other. So one of them will lose, and I think maybe it might be a draw. You never know. Then you got DC, Holmesy, and Jep are all 4-2. Then you got Roy, Warney, Luke, yourself, Louis are all 3-3. Then you got Rids, Nathan, Hef, Sanch, Stato, Harmy, MJ, and Jake are all 2-4, and then Calvin's 1-5. So the
other thing, if you look at the overall rank as well, I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's like 4 coaches maybe in the top 1,000. And I think nearly everyone except one is in the top 10,000. Sorry, hang on. Yeah. And then there's like 8 or 9 coaches in the top 2,000. Yeah, it is very, real tight. Real tight.
Then you got Nathan is obviously up against myself. Louis is up against Hef. Roy is up against DC. Calvin is up against MJ. And then obviously top of the table clash is Mitch and Mini Monk. But Mitch had the VC of Gawn, and Mini Monk didn't. But Mini Monk does have Ryan Marshall, who I do think Ryan Marshall does go big tonight. So that could even out that matchup. So it'd be very interesting to see how that all goes. Nick's got this question here. So we asked the question before about Graham or Williams. Would you field McKercher over Graham or Williams? That's an interesting one.
How did McKercher go last week? Yeah, I've traded him out. So sometimes the players have gone for my team.
You got a 50-odd, but if there is truth to this season going further up the ground and fish a sub, I think that probably opens it up a bit. I think I'd still play Graham or Williams over him this week.
I'd be trusting it. Once again, I'd be trusting your more experienced player, right?
Yeah. Anita Rocker, would you bench Jeremy Sharp or take Harvey Thomas's 77? I think I'd take Harvey Thomas's 77, I think.
Yep, I would too.
Just bank the points.
Who's Freo? Who are they playing this week?
Dogs. Dogs are Optus.
Yeah. But I think, look, it's a safe score. I mean, Jeremy Sharp could be anything, right? Like, I mean, he's been averaging about that 70-odd mark. But if you've got it, just bank it.
So if you look at this, he's averaging 76.7, so averaging about what his score was, and he's only gone over 77 twice, which was a 79 in round 1 and the 106 against Carlton. So for me, I think you do take Harvey Thomas's 77. I wish I could take Thomas's score as well. We got another super chat as well. Yeah, here we go. So Lockie Reese sent through $3 super chat. So thanks, mate. Very much appreciated. No question there, but Thank you very much for sending that through. If anyone wants to send any of those through, then feel free for that as well. Make sure you've subscribed to the YouTube channel and like the video as well. And if you're listening on YouTube, we got 1,000 people now tuning in, Tim. So a lot of legends tuning in. So thanks, everyone.
Right,
I know we've got a lot of people on Twitter. If you want to head over to the YouTube channel, if you have not subscribed to Fantasy Fanatics, there's plenty of content throughout the season that we've got. Live watch along tomorrow night for the Fremantle and Dogs game. I'll be watching the game. We'll see the scores tick over and chat all things fantasy. So, yeah, feel free to head over there and subscribe and like the video and all that good stuff. So, we got another super chat here. So from Corey Blackledge. So thanks, mate, for the $10 one there. He says, who is the best rookie cover for Fisher? As I traded out Thomas and Cadman last night and was going Fisher and Williams to Dawson and McRae this week, but now I can't as I can't trade Fisher out. So he's got Garcia. I think we've said before, Corey, that I think Garcia is probably the pick of the rookies on most people's benches. Is there? I can't think of anyone else, Tim, on our benches that you probably play over a Garcia tonight. Can you think of anything?
Like I said, Wilson, Thomas, Dempsey, probably about it.
Yeah, I think I'd back Garcia. I think that role on the tackle numbers means he's probably safe enough for a 50.
Yeah, I think he's probably got the biggest potential ceiling on him as well, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. We've got another super chat. Lachlan Reese. Thanks. Appreciate a lot of legends with the super chats today. Love it. So Lachlan Reese says, which two do I trade out of Williams, Fisher, and Dempsey, knowing two players out of Fisher, Dempsey, and Garcia and Wilson will have to be fielded? Cheers. So Williams, Fisher, Dempsey. Okay, so well, we said I think if Fisher was sub, he would be gone before Williams. Tim, where do you think? Where would you put Garcia out of
Dempsey?
Out of
you mean?
Sorry, Dempsey, not Garcia. Would you put if Dempsey was sub? Would he'd probably go before Williams as well? Correct. But if he's not the sub, would you keep Dempsey over Williams if he's not the sub, or where are you looking at that one?
If he's not the sub, would I keep him? Yeah, I think I would. I am.
So you trade Williams. So you trade Williams first if Dempsey was not the sub.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree as well. 58 break even. Dempsey's been very good as well. I don't think he'll be the sub.
He's had quite a last couple of weeks, maybe. But
we know John are funny with their rookies.
Yeah, and look, he was up there in Brisbane. Not a great matchup up there. Scored a 50, whereas prior to that he was scoring a couple of 70s and 100s. So I think that was just a bit of a down game. I mean, we know what Brisbane at night can be like for those kind of players.
Yeah, and one thing I would flag as well is that Chris Scott is coach of Geelong, and we know that the Scott brothers don't always sub the guys that are on the bench. Cam Guthrie's is his first game back in a fair while, so there is every chance that Cam Guthrie's named the starting sub.
Yeah, he doesn't strike me as I would have thought that he would have been a sub before this if he was that kind of player that was,
I agree. So, yeah, I think there's a more chance of a
He looks solid in that bloody 22 or 23, you might say. He looks very solid in that side.
And it makes sense. Guthrie's not going to play a full game. So I either see it being Guthrie's going to start the sub and he'll come on, or Parfitt or a Bose will start sub and they'll just do a like-for-like swap and one of those guys will come in for Guthrie. I think that'll be, unless there's an injury, but I think that's what will happen. You agree with that?
I agree. Yeah, sure.
Cool. So we've got another, there we go. Power Prawn, another super chat. Thanks, guys. This is pretty incredible. He says apparently Fisher and Bonner are subs. Legends. Discuss. Oh no. If Bonner, please.
So hang on. So the Bonner one, I wouldn't trust the account that came from.
Yeah, surely looking at the bench for St Kilda, Angus Hasty is named on the bench. Surely he's the sub. You got Owen, Stocker, Hasty, Garcia, and Bonner. I can't imagine it's Garcia or Bonner. It's got to be Hasty. But if it's Bonner,
my advice when you I think my advice when you see these kind of tweets is you've got to firstly, don't believe them, and then you've got to go and check the sources, right? And try and make a call off that. So. I saw that account that tweeted about Bonner, and I think if you look at that, I think even Morney posted something about it as well, right? So, being it looks like a load of shit. So I wouldn't trust that source just yet.
Yeah, and Bonner's not really a sub anyway. So And that's another one. Jack actually just posted here on the YouTube chat. It's actually Bonner's 100th game tonight. They're not subbing They're not starting Bonner subbing his 100th game.
There you
like,
go.
Definitely not happening. So yeah, as you said. And I know Pete's on about this all the time. Pete says trust like reliable sources, and I know that AFL ratings, and that's why if you're a fantasy coach, AFL ratings and Pete as well, both the AFL ratings account and AFL ratings Pete must follow accounts because he posts the news that is reliable, and he gets it from the reliable sources, and so he would be the one that I'd be looking to if you haven't followed them already. And yeah, so until they say something, I wouldn't look at anything. So what do we got here? We had a question from where'd it go? It was from Michael, obviously friend of ours at AFLW Fantasy. Here it is. So, question for Guesty. He said, if we could bring back the T-Rex, would you want to and why?
Will you bring back the T-Rex? Jesus Christ. That's a deep question for a Friday afternoon.
Am I missing something? The T-Rex?
I have no idea. Maybe that is an inside joke that I'm not quite getting. I can only think of a dinosaur, mate, and my son would love to see dinosaurs roaming the planet again. So,
oh, that's funny. Yeah, I was going to say, I was like T-Rex. I'm maybe that's an inside joke between you and him, but maybe you're not even sure what it is. So, Michael, if you're still tuning in, mate, let us know what that's about. No, it's quite funny. Jack M has got this question: Taylor Adams or Jack McRae? I'm Jack McRae there.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I'm
not convinced. Absolutely not convinced by Jack McRae whatsoever.
I'm not convinced because it's Bevo, but I'm still fairly comfortable bringing him in. It's a forward at 715K. If you don't have the cash,
let's see what you're saying in 2 weeks' time, eh?
Then, yeah, no,
and
exactly
look,
right.
Hopefully he is. Hopefully he's awesome because if he is awesome for a second week in a row, he's probably coming into my side. But I'm not a believer.
Tyler asked this question: thoughts on Lukosius? I'm not looking at Lukosius personally. I think he's an 80s guy, and he's got a couple of games at TIA coming up, so I'm a bit nervous about that.
Yeah, with you.
Tim McManus, Heaney or Goulden for Zach Fisher? Goulden means playing 2 forward rookies on field, or if I've got Heaney, I'll be only playing the 1 rookie. Can you pay up for Heaney though now, Tim? It's very expensive.
Yeah, I think you got to look for other value.
It depends, I guess, who those forward rookies are. But if it's a Garcia or a Dempsey or something like that, I'd be happy getting Goulden and playing those 2 guys on the field. You can always fix that up next week.
You're literally locking. If you buy him now, you're locking in that price loss. You're locking in a loss.
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't buy him, you can run the gauntlet with other players and try and make that money back. Like even, say, for example, someone who hadn't gone a Goulden brought in a Dacos this week. Well, you bought Dacos for $120,000 cheaper than what he started the year at. So, if we can assume that he gets at least back to that level or it goes higher, which is what we thought he was going to do, then, you've made that money back. So,
Goulden is $83K cheaper as well.
Yeah.
If you're looking at that. And I still see Goulden as $1 million sort of player. I think you'll get back to those bigger scores. I think Parker back there I'm pretty sure Parker was back this week from looking at City's team. But I think all those guys back is actually even better for Goulden because and I think Heaney going well as well is Parker's not back.
Parker's
this week.
not
Parker
back,
was not named. But I still think I think that all the guys getting back fit and healthy is good for Goulden. He'll be able to run more free.
But you'd think that he'd start to find a bit of form.
Agreed. Yeah, exactly. IT says Tuke Miller or McRae and 150K. I'm McRae and 150K. What would you do out of that, Tim?
I'm going to back you. I'm going to back you, Bails, and go with McRae and 150K. But I am tempted by Tuke.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know if I see Tuke being anything over 105.
He might not be. He might not be, but he's more the kind of player that I like bringing in at this time of year.
Yeah. What do we got? Oh, hang on. Michael here said, no inside joke. I just value Guesty's thoughts on the serious issues.
Oh, good, mate. Well, yes, bringing back the dinosaurs is one of those big issues, isn't it?
Yeah.
As long as, it'd only turn into a Jurassic Park scenario, really, wouldn't it? They'd only manage to get out and cause havoc.
Yeah. No, shout out Michael, mate. Friend of the show, Michael there.
Yeah.
what have we got here? Sammy B said, yeah, do I trade Williams or Dempsey? Yeah, we answered that one before. We were just saying, yeah, if Dempsey's the sub, you trade him out first. If he's not, then I think you go Williams out first. Tony Ford, Wilson or Dempsey on field? I'm still backing Dempsey in, I think.
Yeah, me too.
And I guess if Wilson goes well, you've probably got Harley Reid, Tony. So you can probably just play him on field and take Wilson's score, whereas Dempsey you can just play after. I think I'm still playing Dempsey, though, out of the two. Matt Young, Rosie or Butters? Who are you going out of the two? So actually, I'll get the price up for you, Tim, as well. So Rosie is priced at 945k with a break even of 141. Butters is 916 with a break even of 100.
I would probably go Rosie first if I had the money and could afford it for the sake of what is that little price difference.
Yeah,
I feel a bit more confident with him long term. I mean, look at one of the things I think we forget about is that run of, was it like 14 tons in a row last year or something along those lines?
Yeah, yep.
So I think he's just a really consistent week to week. I do tend to think that maybe Butters has got a little bit more of a ceiling on him, but I think there's a bit more volatility in him as a pick.
Yeah, exactly. Next question comes from Connor Johns, Dawson or McRae. This is one where I would go Dawson.
Fucking Dawson, yeah, every day of the week.
Yeah, you get your guaranteed top 8 to 12 midfielder, and I think there's a chance Dawson could be a top 4 midfielder if last week's anything to go by. And it sounds like he's going to be that main guy back there. I really, really hope that the Crows don't like. I hope they move away from playing Laird forward. They did talk in the week about wanting to get his ball hunting ability back. I'm hoping that that's a move of mid/half back and not forward, because if he's forward, he's not going to get the ball. Whereas I think in defence, he could actually get the ball. He would actually help out a young defence. All Australian half back. Like I don't understand the call there. But yeah, hopefully Laird goes there. But yeah, Dawson, I think is locked into that midfield role now, based on what he said. Jack said, Brad Hill or Jack McRae? What are your thoughts on Brad Hill at 798k? He's been pretty good of late.
No,
779, sorry.
I think I'd go Jack McRae over Brad Hill.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Thoughts on Brian Myers as an option, says Weasel Jenkins. So Brian Myers is priced at 765. He's averaging 90 this year, Tim. He's probably one we haven't really spoken about. His scores this year, 70, 109, 85, 96, 86, and 96. So it's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, look, probably someone we haven't paid given enough credit. Someone I haven't even looked at, so I'd be hesitant to give any kind of opinion. I mean, I guess he's got to be in the mix there, right, with those kinds of scores. I don't know that we see necessarily anything changing in Geelong. Do we see anything changing with Guthrie coming back?
Nah, not really. I think Myers but the only thing I don't like about Myers is he's playing that sort of Dylan Moore type role for Geelong. And I know that Geelong are playing well and whatever, but I do feel Myers is that player that can just put up a 30 or 40 any given week. So if you haven't got a McRae, I'm still going McRae over Myers. I guess if you don't have a Flanders or something. Well, that's probably a question that is for people that don't have a Flanders, if they're looking at a McRae and Cash or something like that, or up to Flanders, are you just paying the money to get Flanders at 9.10?
Priced at 100, probably. There's probably maybe a little bit of value there as well. So yeah, maybe someone like that I could justify bringing in over a Heaney who's priced at 120.
Yeah. I think I'd agree with that as well. There we go. So Corey Blackledge has just put in the chat there. Jackson Mead and Angus Hasty are named the subs for tonight. So Garcia is good, and same as Bonner as well. So I think we assumed that was going to be the case, but I appreciate a lot of people saying that. So thanks to all the legends letting us know in the chat there. We'll go for live for about another maybe 10, 15 minutes or something like that, and then we'll call it a night there. Says Rosie or Sam Walsh. Who are you going out of those two? Is that a buy one for you?
Rosie. Yeah. Well, no, look, I think I'm still, look, he hasn't had much of a preseason, Sam Walsh, the back issue. I think there's just that just puts up a little bit more of a red flag than someone like a Connor Rosie who had a full preseason, no real injury concerns. Okay, he had one bad game or something along those lines, and he's got a great buy.
Yeah, I agree. What have we got here? Jack's got this question. VC Butters, Marshall or Jack Steele? Marshall for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely
100%.
I think Marshall could put up a big score tonight. He's got a very I don't know, Tim, if you've actually seen Rowan Marshall's record against Port Adelaide, right? Not only is John Sweet going to be the ruck and it's not Soldo, Rowan Marshall has played Port Adelaide 5 times in his career for an average of 129.8. And his average at Adelaide Oval in 7 games is 105.6. Marshall is by far I think he's a very, very reliable captain option to put tonight. I think he goes pretty big tonight. I'm a bit nervous not owning him. So, yeah, that is a good one there. Mr. Jet, Dawson or Butters? I'm Dawson still, I think. Actually, no, Butters has got a great buy, though. Does that come into account for you, Tim? Butters or Dawson is the buy.
Yeah, look, I think you're definitely going to be thinking about your buys at this time. I mean, we're only 5 weeks away, right? So,
yeah.
And I think with the other thing that we've probably got to consider as well is that we haven't really paid attention to the buys. Well, maybe most coaches haven't, considering we've just come out of the early round buys. Our attention's really been on that. So, you know, I really do think that you've got to sit down and do some a little bit of buy planning and you know, be informed by your buys a little bit when it comes to your trades. But you know, I mean, probably Dawson over Butters there, but, you know, I'd want to look at team structure and, you know, I still don't think Butters is a bad option at all.
Yeah, and that round 13 buy as well is valuable with Butters.
And we're still not certain. I mean, look, Dawson had a great week last week, right? But, I mean, Crows have been a shambles in that midfield for, 5 or 6 weeks now. So, you know, I still think there's some flags over Dawson and what kind of happens there as well.
Yeah, no, agreed, 100%. I guess that the quote from Dawson today is good, but we got to see it now. We got to see it in a few games. We saw it last week.
We've also got to be a bit careful with. We also got to be a bit careful with comments from players, right? Because they think about it from more of a footy perspective, not the same way that we think about it. And you know, because of the way a game is scored as well, it doesn't necessarily reward football, so to speak. So, you know, sometimes you have to take those comments with a little bit of a grain of salt, right?
Yeah. Got this question here from Xavier Barker: Chalor or Butters? On Butters, but Chalor has been very good this year.
He has,
I don't know if I could do it, but he's been very, very good. So if anyone did start him out there as a bit of a pod, you'd be very, very happy at the moment. What have we got here? Which 2 do I field or take? So Closey, Graham, Zach Williams, and Thomas's 77. So Tony, I think I would definitely be locking in Thomas's 77,
and then Closey.
I agree. Yeah, Closey for me. Yeah, I'd be doing Closey and Thomas as 77. Henry VE, Waterman or Heaney? What do you think about Jake Waterman, Tim? Waterman's been good of late.
I think he has a terrible haircut. Yeah, sure, yes. So, I mean, the Eagles have been pretty good the last couple of weeks as well, right? But, I mean, key forwards, they're not normally someone you'd consider. I mean, maybe this is a draft question. Who was the other? Waterman or who?
Heaney. So you go Heaney, even though you probably don't want to part, but you go Heaney.
Sure. Just those 2. Yeah, man, that's sounds like a question from a spicy coach. I like it.
Yeah. Andrew Domahidi says, "Hi, Guesty." Saying hello to you, mate.
Hey, mate.
He's got a question. He says, any thoughts on Hayden Young to Isaac Heaney and Massimo to Adam Chalor? I don't mind the Massimo to Adam Chalor one if you're looking at a bit of a pod play, but I couldn't trade Hayden Young. The fact that he's named now, I'd be keeping him, I think. Andrew.
Yeah, I wouldn't be touching Hayden Young, and I wouldn't be going to Heaney full priced. Once again, there's plenty of players in that. You know, we've talked about a few of them: Butters, Rosies, Goulden. You know, I think they're the kind of players that you want to be targeting right now. Not a top priced F1.
Yeah. NA said, is there a world where we hold Fisher in hopes of that halfback role once Sheasel moves forward? Hard to see him staying in the 2s or vest for too long. There is, if he's not named the sub tomorrow, but I think Fisher's at a case, NA, where we trade him. If he's got this halfback role and he's got a round 12 bye, forward line with no options, we can bring Fisher back in. We've got 2 trades each week. I don't know about you, Tim, but I'd be happy to bring Fisher back in. If he's got a halfback role looking good, then he's got his bye, and then you can bring him in around 13.
Yeah, this sub call really throws me. Hey, like it really kind of makes me question where he sits in the team. You know, but also, like I said, I wonder if it's got something to do with the shift of, she's maybe going in the midfield, Hardiman maybe coming to play a little bit of half back. I don't know, like. Not sure. I'm a bit unsure why you'd be putting like a Hardiman down back when you could have just kind of kept Fisher down there and given him maybe a bit more of a role, especially if you brought him in from another club. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out.
I guess I just want to see what they've got with Hardiman. Got him in
Maybe.
the draft this year. There's been pretty good raps on him as a pretty good left foot kick. So be interesting to see how that goes there. This is a good question from Dario. He said, Garcia or Dempsey? Would you go for the guaranteed starter in Garcia tonight on field, or would you go Dempsey tomorrow hoping he's not the sub? I'm probably Garcia there for the safety.
Yeah, I'm Garcia as well. I think, like Dempsey's kind of, I don't know, I kind of see him as that 70 player. He obviously only had 50 last week, right? But we talked about the matchup. But I think Garcia's around about that mark as well. He could be a 70-80 kind of player with that kind of contested tackling game that he's got. Yeah, I would be. I would probably go with what I would consider a bit more of security in Garcia than, Dempsey could be a bit susceptible to how, how the ball moves and whether he gets marks and goals and things like that.
Yeah, I would agree with that one there.
Being that forward line player, yeah.
Clooney, who would you field out? Harvey Gallagher and Darcy Wilson? I'd be going Gallagher. I think they're against Free. Or actually, I looked at the bench and Gallagher's actually on the bench for the Dogs. Would you play Darcy Wilson knowing that he's starting tonight even in a tough matchup, or would you go Gallagher tomorrow night against Freo? But looking at Bulldogs bench, they've got Bramble, Gallagher, Garcia, O'Donnell, and McRae. I think that the sub will be between Gallagher and Garcia. Because O'Donnell's not going to be the sub because he's a key position player. Bramble's been playing pretty good, and then surely McRae's not the sub. So it's either Garcia or Gallagher. Would you, a bit the same as last one, would you go the guaranteed starter in Wilson?
Probably.
I think in a pretty chaotic round like this, I think I'll be doing that as well. And Jared Butcher's actually got, this is exactly right. He says, these next few days of fantasy are going to be very nerve-wracking. And I think, mate, you're right, because it's going to be actually the subs. And I think I saw a few coaches today in the presses and stuff saying that they want it to be 5 on the bench, not the sub. And 100% you're preaching to the choir coaches. We all want 5 on the bench. So we don't have to worry about these bloody subs. We've already got enough to worry about as fantasy coaches, Tim. I think we've got it pretty rough. I don't know what you think, mate, but we've got bloody best 18s, we've got laid outs, we've got subs, we've got buys. Mate, I think that we're pretty hard done by, to be fair.
You should write a strongly worded letter to the AFL, I reckon, mate.
Yeah, I think I might.
Not sure it'll get us anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we'll go a couple more here, and then we'll finish up and let everyone get their teams all set out for tonight. Jack, Drury or Wilson on field? I'd definitely be going Wilson, and I know that Tim would agree with that one. Rosie or Flanders? Jack's got that question. I think on Flanders.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. A little bit cheaper, lower break even. Look, bit more probably value considering that kind of F1 or F2 position, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Bring him in, lock him in.
Yeah. This is actually a good point by Jack. He said Mitch Cleary wouldn't tweet if he wasn't 100% sure on his sources. This is a good point. But then again, sources could be bad. But I think Mitch has got very good sources. So,
he's a pretty reliable source.
Yeah, exactly. I think he must have been replying to someone in the chat. Maybe someone was saying that Mitch isn't reliable or whatever. But YouTube user has got this question. Who would you go between Dawson and Anderson? I'm Dawson. How does too?
Dawson. We've got those. What is it? Those Darwin games.
Yes,
all the territory games coming
up. Jim has got this for you, Tim. He said, "Why is Guesty so negative on Jack McRae? Was thinking of bringing him in. Any reason why?"
Because we saw 1 week out of him. And look at the history. Bevo's the coach. Look at the history that Jack McRae's got. Look, there's every reason. I see there's more reason that he continues to put out exactly what he's been putting out for the last probably, year than for.
Oh, we've lost him. He's back.
You lost me. So we look at the matchup from last week as well. What was it? 5 Dogs scored over 100 or something along those lines. I think it was more likely to
5 over 120. I think.
Yeah, and it was also
Dale Johannesson, English, Treloar, and McRae. Yeah, 5 over 120.
So I'm just not for the pain that Jack McRae has caused me and other fantasy coaches. It's going to take more than 1 week to convince me.
Yeah.
And I think it's also not only about who you're bringing in, right? But it's also what you're then not doing. And I've kind of been pretty strong in my rhetoric this week about, I really think that this time of year is, for where we should be targeting these underpriced primos, or these primos that have dropped in value from the beginning of the year, particularly with like a Zach Fisher now potentially being the sub. I mean, you should, chances are you can get from him at 662 or whatever he is up to, 900 grand or something along those lines, or pretty close, and get someone who's more going to be kind of top of their line, rather than a Jack McRae he might be a player that you bring in. And I mean, the other thing you got to think about as well, you got not only bring this player in, but then you're going to have to get rid of him at some point as well. So it's quite costly in terms of trades, whether he works out or doesn't work out. But I think it's a bit of a
Caution.
It's a speculative pick. Now, once again, if he kind of punches it out again, well, I mean, I don't expect another what he scored last week, 120 or whatever it was. I don't expect another. Yeah, I don't expect another score like that. But if he punches out another kind of ton or something along those lines, then I'll be looking very, very closely at possibly bringing him in.
Yeah, Hawthorn, Richmond. If you don't get him this week, he's got Hawthorn next week, Richmond the week after. So yeah, safe to say if he gets 100 this week, he's going to be probably one of, if not the most traded player next week. Darcy Jones might be, but.
So this is another way of thinking about it, right? So, and I kind of thought about this with my trades this week, right? So I was looking, McRae was an option, but I was also looking at a Dacos, and I kind of thought, all right, what happens if I bring in a Dacos and he doesn't go well? And he scores a 90 or a 95 or something like that, which he, funnily enough, scored a 98. But to be perfectly honest, I'd still actually be pretty happy with that result. I've got a D2 or something on, right? I've got him in my side now long term. Whereas, can you imagine if you bring in a Jack McRae and he scores a, just under what he's priced, like an 80 or a 75, or like you'd be sitting there spitting chips about what the bloody hell do I believe Bevo and Jack McRae, and I've just brought him in and he's done nothing, going nowhere, and now I've just got to waste the trade at some point to get him out.
Yeah. One thing I would be wary with Jack McRae is if you are bringing him in, make sure you do check the subs before the game starts, because he's named on the bench. I think it will be a Garcia or maybe a Harvey Gallagher, but it would not shock me with Bevo. Will ever come back.
That's a Riley Garcia, by the way, not a Hugo Garcia.
Yes, Riley Garcia. Yeah, exactly, because it's two Garcias. Just double check with that and make sure you do have a safety blanket. I guess Lacoste is probably the safety blanket for a lot of people, or a Toot Miller, but yeah, just make sure that he's not the sub. But I don't think he will be. He played too well last week to be the sub. Couple more questions. Moonboy, where's keeping Massimo to get Houses 80? I would be trading Williams instead. Yes, I'll be doing that. Are you agreeing with that, Tim? Would you keep Massimo to get the 80 and trade Williams?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Matt Murphy, best rookie outside of Garcia to bring in. If you've got the cash, I think we were saying before, I think it's Sweet. I think if you've got the cash,
Sweet, yeah.
If it's not him, it's probably Hardiman. He's probably the only other rookie that I think they've got named that's playing. So Darcy Jones will be a popular target next week. He looked I don't know if you saw that game, Tim. He looked bloody good last night, Darcy Jones.
I saw a little bit at the start, yeah.
Very, very quick. He's looking like he's going to be a good player. So he'll be a pretty good popular target next week for that. And we'll go with the final question. We've got a good question from Lucas Lemons, buy structure. We might touch on that maybe in another maybe in a couple of weeks' time closer to the buys. But Lee Humphreys has got this question. Field 2 out of Dempsey, Lazaro, and Wilson.
Lazaro's named again this week, right?
Yeah, and he's not going to be sub. I think Lazaro's probably the number one out of those three, actually, to be honest, because Dempsey's the sub of the risk of being a potential sub. Lazaro I'd play. Oh, would you play? I think we said before, would you just lock Wilson in tonight and not run the gauntlet with Dempsey unless you've got another option later?
Yeah, you might have to just to be safe.
Might have to be Lazaro and Wilson just to lock in. Yeah, I think that might be. Yeah, actually, and Mr. Jet, this one isn't a question, just a comment. He said McRae could be great, but he could also do what Zorko and Caldwell did this round. Who knows? It's a good, very good point. Exactly right. So, I definitely agree with that. And on that note, we will wrap up there. But thank you very much, everyone that's tuning in. We've got over 1,400 people, Tim, tuning in now. So thanks all the legends out there on Twitter, where the vast majority of you are. So thank you very much for tuning in, and also the people on YouTube. And thank you very much to Power Prawn Star, Lachlan Rees, Corey Blackledge for sending in those super chats there. And Power Prawn Star and Lachlan Rees sending a couple. So thank you very much, guys, for sending those through. Very, very much appreciated. And as I said, thank you for all the people that did send in their questions. Apologies if we did not get to your question today. But Tim, as always, thanks, mate. Any final thoughts for listeners as we let them go for the rest of the games for round 7? We don't have. It's not. We got a full slate of games. We've got 6 games left.
Yeah, I know, not that many.
Yep. So, any final thoughts for the listeners, mate?
Just best of luck. Fair bit of carnage this week. Just best of luck. I think that's the best we can do at this stage. Hold fast, play a straight bat, try not to do nothing too crazy. Check your loops, check your captains, and let's see how it all pans out. I think it's going to be an interesting week. First, kind of round out of the early buys. So yeah, I think it's one of those weeks where we're going to find out how people are really kind of going.
Yeah, exactly. And for the people that did tune in a little bit later, Tim, just your trades this week.
Jackson to Garcia, and what is currently looking like a Williams, but could be a Zach Fisher, to a Nick Dacos.
Yeah, cool, beautiful. And then my moves are going a Massimo down to a Hugo Garcia, and then going Zach Fisher if he is the sub up to McRae. But I do have a little bit of pivoting. And Power Prawn Star, no ball boys. No, not this week, mate. Luke was a bit unwell, and Mitch said with most of the games done, to have the week off and relax. So, but yeah, no, I'm sure they'll be back next week. But no, guys, mate, thanks very much for tuning in, everyone, tuning in live. And always, if you are listening to the podcast on replay, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. That would be very, very much appreciated. We're back on Sunday night at the normal time of 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 5:30 per time for our round review. We will be joined by Liam from Free Kick, which will be another great chat. So looking forward to that chat with him on Sunday. But thanks, Tim. Thanks, listeners. And good luck, everyone, for the remainder of round 7. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
See ya.